This is Liberty Under Attack Radio, hosted by Shane and Matt. Your place for documented truth and where freedom is the only agenda. We must end the terror war.
And good evening and welcome to another edition of Liberty Under Attack Radio on the Freedom Phalanx Radio Network. It's the best network I have found, and trust me, I've been looking for a long time. Here at FPRN, we may have small variations in our beliefs, but we're all working towards the same goal. The goal is freedom, truth. That is what I commit to you, and I know that is what the others in this network commit to you as well. And we certainly owe all of our thanks to the one man behind the scenes that makes this all possible. Find what you're good at and use it in a positive way, just as Ryan has. And there's a reason you're all here this evening, and why you're here for every other show on this network as well. So please support this network and support those who are doing all they can to do their part in making a positive difference. As always, I'm your host Shane, and I'm joined by my co-host Matt. How's it going, brother? Got any updates for the listeners?
Good evening, Shane. I'm doing great. I recommend everyone check out Nafiz Ahmed's article on Medium.com titled How the Pentagon is Hiding the Dead. It's very relevant to the purposes of this broadcast and provides some key insights into what actors are still ongoing in reinforcing depopulationist means across the whole planet. Ahmed also goes into detail on how the war on terror and war on drugs converge with a statistical Orwellian manipulation of making real people disappear down the memory hole for Americans with the attention span of a fly. This is psychological manipulation, information warfare, the sort of nonsense that must be countered and called out. And I'd like to personally congratulate Nafiz on such an amazing, in-depth journey of serious investigative journalism. Again, his article is titled How the Pentagon is Hiding the Dead. Please give it a read on your free time, listeners. My next update. I'm working on a side project with Kyle Riordan from The Last Bastille. Hopefully it should be done within the next few weeks at the earliest. I'm also writing my own anarchist responses to the Federalist Papers, which will eventually be added onto our website. Please keep a lookout for it. And I still welcome additional questions to my Q&A series, The Terror Industrial Complex and You. Back to you, Shane.
Indeed. And I have not even heard of that article, so that's something I need to take a look into as well. Thank you very much, Matt. So there are a couple of we hope you've all have had a great weekend and a great Sunday. Hopefully it was a day of relaxation. It was certainly not for Liberty Under Attack, though. Not at all in the past couple of weeks, quite honestly. We've been quite busy on a few different projects, as Matt just mentioned. He's working on a couple things, and also some future broadcasts, as you would expect. There's certainly a lot in store from your humble hosts. There are a couple of things that are worth mentioning, and we'll do so at this time. First off, I've gotten the first two parts of my first in-depth article semi-completed. It's in the editing stages now, and I'm making sure it's as good as it can be before it's released. Part 1 is on the Global Disarmament Bill, and Part 2 is on the Open Skies Treaty. I hope to have it released by May 3rd or at the latest May 10th. Part 3, which will be on the planned police state, is in the beginning stages, and that will more than likely be towards the end of May, so definitely keep a lookout for those. I'm really, really excited that I have those first two parts done, and I think you guys will be as well. I hope at least. I'm also preparing for a short video or an entire broadcast, just kind of undecided at this point. I really don't know. Simply titled, Can the SPLC Just Die Already? And I'll probably have a page on there. I'd probably be granted a page on their website for that, but it'd be an honor. And of course, for those who are unaware, the SPLC is the Southern Poverty Law Center, the most hateful, racist pieces of shit on the planet. So I definitely want to do something on them. Lastly, please go to libertyunderattack.com/profiling.html. Again, that's libertyunderattack.com/profiling.html. And scour the vast archive on profiling. It is, in my humble opinion, the best archive compiled on profiling, and I need not take the credit. I'm simply just hosting it for a good friend, and that is all that can be said regarding that at this moment. But that page is certainly a prerequisite for a future broadcast. And check back frequently on that page, too. There are documents and videos added every single day. I think yesterday we added I don't know, 6 documents. And that seems to be the trend. There's usually about 3 to 6 documents that go up every single day on there. So you really need to stay updated on it. If you want to join in on the discussion this evening, feel free to call in. We'd certainly love to hear from you. The number is 218-895-3818. Again, that's 218-895-3818, or on Skype at FPRN Radio Live. The question for the listeners this evening is this. Do you believe that population control is necessary? Or is it just the propaganda arm for depopulation? Let us know your thoughts and opinions. We'd certainly love to hear them. So, now for those of you who are unaware, a couple of weeks ago, it was April 7th actually, I began and ended my adventure in canceling my voter registration. All that is left is for my certificate to come in the mail. Although considering it is government, and more specifically Illinois, it could take a couple of months. It's pretty easy to see by looking at the current state of America, and also just the political arena in general, that voting is ineffective. If it was effective, it would be illegal. Let's see here. For the past couple of years of being uniquely aware, I've resented the "I voted" stickers that everyone proudly wears once they go vote. It's not what I see, though. I see I continued the cycle of my own oppression today. Without a doubt, at the federal level, voting is surely an illusion, as both choices are the same side of a coin. We are continuously left with the choice between two evils, with one being slightly less evil than the other, and could be argued that one is just as evil as the other. I would suggest that the argument that, well, I'm voting for candidate A because he has only murdered 99 people, rather than candidate B who has murdered 100, is obviously absurd, but really not that far off from reality. The Downs median voter theorem explains this phenomenon. The current voting system narrows the range of options down to 2, Republican and Democrat, which are almost indistinguishable from each other, even though they may seem superficially dissimilar. The voter will always choose the one that closest mirrors their beliefs, while hardly ever, if ever, choosing one of the more radical choices, even if that choice is more liberty. The two choices you are left with is a duopoly, another example of this dualistic society we are consumed by. The way the theorem works is that it presumes that people will fall for the logical fallacy of the appeal to moderation. The moderate in between the two radicals is the safe zone, the comfort zone, you might say. And that is a very good representation of our modern-day political system. Now, at the state level, for some that could be debatable on whether they choose to partake. Although if you live in the communist state of Illinois like me, with its last few governors in prison, you're naive to believe that voting matters here. Illinois is the cesspool of politics, thanks to Chicago. At local elections, that is entirely up to you. But I've chosen to withdraw my consent from the rigged election system in its entirety. I was lucky enough to have a conversation with a colleague who mentioned to me that he canceled his voter registration in Texas. I was intrigued. I didn't know that was possible. And we began to look into Illinois law to find out how it would even go about doing this. We had to go all the way to Administrative Code, Section 216.50, to even find out that they will, in fact, cancel voter registrations at the request of the registrant, which was applicable to my situation. The next step was to find out the actual process. Now that I know I can, how do I go about doing it? Well, no section of Illinois law actually did that. Contrary to Texas, which laid it out in a way that even a potential Hillary voter could understand. The closest thing we found in Illinois law referencing the process referred us to the National Voter Registration Act of 1993, which is United States Code. That really shouldn't happen, but that's a subject of discussion for another broadcast. Again, we ran into the same predicament. There was no indication as to how to cancel. What all of the arms of Illinois law failed to mention was the process. What the reference United States codes failed to mention was a process pertaining to anything other than a citizen moving to another state or county. So the first step I had in mind was just to call or go to the government center in downtown Bloomington and just see if I'm even still registered, since I haven't voted since I was a sheeple at age 18 or 19. I can't remember the exact age, but I think that detail is irrelevant. So on April the 7th, I decided to just head down to the government center and see what I could find out. Throughout the process, I will say everyone was really kind and helpful. Part of this was probably because they probably assumed I was making sure I was registered so I could go vote that day in the consolidated election. Yeah, that is a thing. I really don't know what the hell what that means, but anyways, nonetheless, they were helpful. I told the nice, lovely government employee what I needed to find out if I'm still registered, and she went and looked it up, and I was. And she started to mention a couple of status things, telling me where I can go vote today, how to do it, what I need to bring, et cetera, et cetera. And I politely interrupted and said, ma'am, I'd like to cancel my voter registration altogether. And of course, she provided the exact status facial expression that I was expecting, and gave her a Liberty Under Attack business card and asked her how I'd cancel it. And to my surprise, she just explained how I had to write a note with my request, with my birth date, and sign it, and I'll get something in the mail. I'm still awaiting that certificate. Don't know when that's going to come, but I will surely write another article when I receive it, and I'll post it on the website so all of you can see that this actually works. So all in all, pending I get my pending the certificate, it was a win. I will say if there's anyone out there interested in learning more, call in or shoot me an email at shane@libertyunderattack.com. I am in the process of compiling a list of all 50 states with exactly how to go about doing it. So I might possibly even have your state already, and be more than happy to assist any of our listeners or anyone else, quite frankly. The next thing I want to move forward to is something called unclaimed property, which is very intriguing. To say the least. Now, if we could get on the live stream, you should see there's a website up right here. This is naupa.org. It's the National Association of Unclaimed Property Administrators. And this page directs you to the website for your state for unclaimed property. And if you live in Canada, there's even a few provinces in Canada, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands too. But I was pointed in the direction of this by a colleague, and let's just say I was a little surprised. The government is actually trying to give you back your money. And they're trying so hard that there's a website for each state, and they actually make it pretty easy for you to get it back. And even better, it's legal, and it works. I personally did a few searches and found out that a couple of friends and family members had anywhere from $10 to $100 of unclaimed property. And granted, it's not much, but hey, it's money you wouldn't have had before. And there have been, typically the amount is anywhere from typically between like 10 and a few $100. That's the typical amount. But there have been people, it's rare, but there have been people that have gotten millions of dollars from their unclaimed property, whether I don't know exactly what that's from, whether it be like dividends or life insurance benefits, whatever it may be. It's very, very rare, but that has happened. And also there have been some people that have gotten six figures, quite a few people have gotten over thousands of dollars. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. So I want everyone to do this. Write down the name of this website, or if you're on your computer right now, go to the website. It's naupa.org, and click on your state. So I'm sure a lot of you are asking the question, well, what the hell is unclaimed property? Well, this organization describes it as, quote, sometimes referred to as abandoned. It refers to accounts in financial institutions and companies that have had no activity generated or contact with the owner for 1 year or a longer period. Common forms of unclaimed property include savings or checking accounts, stocks, uncashed dividends or payroll checks, refunds, traveler's checks, trust distributions, unredeemed money orders or gift certificates in some states, insurance payments or refunds and life insurance policies, annuities, certificates of deposit, customer overpayments, utility security deposits, mineral royalty payments, and contents of a safe deposit box.